amazing people on YouTube. The Old Coot here, coming at you with another exciting video. Today I'm going to show everybody how I spatchcock a turkey, which basically means I'm going to pull off the backbone. So I'm going to pull off the backbone and then basically open it up and then put it onto a cooling baking rack on top of a sheet pan so that it can tenderize with some salt and basically help to remove a lot of the excess moisture. So we want the turkey to be moist, we just don't want it to be watery. And a lot of times people will stick their turkey in an oven for like hours and just demolish it and they'll dry it out completely. This method of spatchcocking the turkey, basically what you do is you do the whole spatchcock thing where you lay it out, you get a more even cooking surface, and then basically what happens is we use higher heat for a shorter period of time. So somewhere in the vicinity of like 350 to 400 degrees, sometimes even 450 degrees for about an hour or so. Usually you get a nice even cook throughout the whole turkey. The legs are done at the same time as the breast is. And basically you can cook an entire turkey, an entire 15-pound turkey in about 1 hour. So anyways, with that being said, let me show you what the implements of war are going to be today. So we have two different kinds of salt, right? I've got my pink Himalayan salt, or Himalayan pink salt, or whatever you want to call it. Then I've got some kosher salt. You could use Morton's, you could use Diamond, makes no difference. But basically it's a 50-50 blend of both of these. And that's what I have in that container right there, which is basically my salt container. As you can see, there you go, there's some salt. Okay, so let's grab the turkey. So one thing I did was, this turkey has been thawing out in the fridge for about 5 days. It is a 15-pound turkey, as you can see right there. This was very hard to find. I ended up finding this at Aldi. So if you're in Southern California or parts of, I think Aldi's all around the country, right? The contiguous 48 states. But if you happen to find a turkey and it's frozen, you do want to thaw it out in the fridge, give or take about 1 day for every 3 pounds. If it is frozen. If it's fresh, you could obviously do this straight from buying it at the market or whatever. So I'm going to pull this out. And, oi! We're going to come over here. Sorry about the shakiness. Testing out my new handy-dandy camera rig again. So, in preparation, what I did was I did wash the sink. It's all clean. I kind of like made sure that I hosed everything off so that the turkey's not just sitting on, you know, a dirty sink or whatever. Another thing to do is have all your tools and toys, implements of war laid out. So what I've got is a good boning knife. This one is made by, what is this? This was the Zwilling. So I will put links down below in the description section. We're going to use this to basically do our finer cuts and get in there and that kind of stuff. Then you need a good pair of poultry shears, which these are the Victorinox ones. I've been doing some videos on these, testing them out. These are like your grandmother's old shears that are probably going to last about 100 years. We're going to use these as well. Then I've got a Victorinox 8-inch breaking knife. This is in case you need to get in there in places where the scissors just can't get in there and you just need to cut something. Extremely sharp knife. Then I've got my Victorinox 12-inch chef knife. This thing is a workhorse. This has been with me like forever. And what I did was I went ahead and sharpened them before I started the video, because after sharpening I like to wash them, because obviously you get little metal bits from the sharpening process. We'll do that in another video, but anyways, you get the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of put out all my stuff and lay it all out correctly. Of course, we're doing this in real time. So chef knife, breaking knife. These are going to be my scissors. These are going to do most of the work, by the way. If you have a good pair of poultry scissors, they'll do most of the work. And then the boning knife is going to be for kind of just odds and ends things to do here and there. But basically, you get the idea. Between these two, I feel like I can do the whole thing. If you don't have these, no big deal. If all you had was just the chef knife, that's totally fine too. Because the chef knife, a good chef knife will basically help you do anything. You know, this and a little bit of muscle and you can pretty much get through the parts and pieces that you need to get through. So I'm going to set this aside for now because I don't necessarily need them right now. And then my scissors, I'm going to open up ahead of time. Basically pull that lever back. These open up and boom, there's your scissors. And then the breaking knife, this is what's going to do most of my work. Okay, so back over to the turkey. What I'm going to do is cut this, obviously. And just be extremely careful, because my knives are really sharp. I hope yours are too. But let's take a look at this again. This is a Butterball. Basically, as you can see right there, it's a Butterball premium turkey. This was a good 15-pounder, and I like to do, if it's frozen, if it's completely frozen, I like to do 1 day for every 3 pounds. So it's 15-pound turkey, took 5 days to defrost in the fridge. There really is no way to speed up this process and keep things sanitary and clean, and you get the idea. I just like to do it in the fridge, keep it in the package, they're good to go. So we're gonna cut this open, and then what I'm gonna do is cut off this piece right here. You could do this with scissors if you like, if you feel more safer. If you feel more confident doing it with scissors, you can do that too. What I'm trying to do is not cut myself, obviously. But let's see. And I'm showing you all this on camera because, yeah, it's a wrestling match. Like, you're wrestling a 15-pound, you know, turkey to try to get it out of the packaging, trying to do everything. So we are mostly defrosted. I can tell there's certain parts in here that are still a little bit frozen, which is totally fine. I mean, that's okay if you still get a frozen piece here or two. But while we are here, what I like to do is like to trim off some of this excess stuff. So this is where the boning knife comes in handy. Like I said, you could use the poultry shears, but I'm just gonna use the boning knife to try to cut off literally this tail section. This is all excess. You could use this in like a stock if you wanted to do that, or do some kind of you know, broth or whatever, turkey broth or whatever you decide to do. So this one, I'm trying to find it. This one seems, there we go. So this is the other piece that you want to cut off, right? So this is usually tucked in. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this. There's that. There's that. So this, usually I'm throwing on this side, and then this will all, for me, this will all go in the trash. But now in here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull out your neck. Oh, that suction noise is amazing. Okay, so here's our neck. I do want to keep this because I am going to use this later for broth, and also to make the gravy, which will be in a few days from now. But we're going to hang on to that. And then over here, this is just a solid chunk of ice, right? Ice and water. So this is what I'm trying to get rid of. I'm trying to get rid of that kind of stuff. And then usually, is it in there? No, there's no giblets in here. Okay. Sometimes, occasionally, what you'll find in there is you'll get like the giblets in there, which is like a bag. Maybe it's on the other side. We'll find out in a second here. But usually there's like a bag that has all kinds of stuff in it. It's like the kidneys, the liver, things like that. So as I'm peeling the bag back, I'm just kind of checking it out, and it still feels cold. So it's somewhere between like refrigerator cold and freezer cold. So here you have a lot of excess skin. We'll see what we want to do with this. Okay, there's the bag. Okay, so here's our bag. And I do want to keep this. I'll probably throw this back in the fridge pretty soon. It's literally ice cold, like my fingers are freezing. But what this is this is like the kidney, I believe. The liver is in here. Some of the internals, the gizzard, I can't remember. Anyways, a bunch of stuff. That's going to go over here. That's going to go back in the fridge. And here's basically our turkey. So no need to wash this. I know a lot of people will wash. What I might do is after I pull, this is the backbone right here. What I might do is after I pull the backbone out, I might take some paper towels and just kind of definitely get some of that excess moisture out, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get rid of the excess moisture, and at the same time, see how that juice is right there? That's basically a combination of water that they use during the packaging process. You know, oh, there's our thermometer too. We can take this out. I think that's what that is, right? Feels like the thermometer. Anyways, we'll check this out in a second. But let's come back to our cutting board. So here we go. And boom. Okay. So here's basically our turkey. Breast side up, right? Thigh, wing. What we want to do is we're trying to get to this. We're trying to get to the backbone down here. So have yourself a good cutting board, something that's a decent size or good shape or whatever. Sometimes you can put two of these together if you want. Another good tip or trick is I'm just going to take some paper towels, dry off my hands too, but I also want to dry off as much of this external surface of the turkey as possible. It's okay if you want to wash the turkey. Like I've seen some videos out there where people wash the turkey. Other people say don't wash the turkey. You know, I'm a fan of, or I'm in the camp of, you're gonna cook it at 400 degrees anyway. It's gonna cook off whatever bacteria is there, and also the salt, right? The salting process of salting this and then letting it sit in the fridge for a day or two is also gonna help to like sterilize that surface, right? Think of like older generations, like we're talking hundreds, maybe even thousands of years ago, that used salt to cure meats, right? They sterilized, so I think we could still do it today. Okay, very important. Keep as sanitary as you can as you go. So what I'm doing is you'll see me periodically just throwing stuff in the trash. There goes that. But now we're at the business end. This is the backbone side. This is the side that we really want to get to. So like I said, there's a few different ways to do this. You could use the kitchen knife, which is this guy. You could use the boning knife. But I like to use the poultry shear. So I do want to get my hands dry again. Let me dry these off. Okay, get nice and dry. Okay. And then we also want to pat dry whatever we can in there. Get as much of this surface moisture out until we open it up. Once we open it up, then we're going to pat dry the whole inside. Okay, so towel goes away. By the way, just make sure your entire surface is clean before you start any of this. So go ahead and, get some Dawn dish soap, paper, some sponge, whatever. Wash it completely clean, dry it off completely clean. That way you're starting with a fresh, clean surface, which I've already done. Okay, here's my here's my Victorinox poultry shears. And I do notice, like, if your hands are a little bit wet, you still get a good grip on the shears. But anyways, let's go ahead and do this. So what I'm doing is this center line. I'm feeling... right, I'm feeling where that backbone is, and I'm trying to go maybe just a hair outside, like maybe a quarter of an inch to a half an inch outside of where the backbone is, just to make sure that I don't have to cut through as much dense backbone material as I have to. But starting here from the bottom, so this is the bottom of the turkey, this is the top of the turkey, right, and we've got everything set. I'm going to start right here and just give it one good snip, and these Victorinox shears are doing most of the work. And it's almost like self-guiding. Like you'll feel where it wants to cut and where it doesn't want to cut. But see, now I've reached a point there where it's starting to get a little thicker. So what I want to do is I just want to cut as I go. Again, go in here. See, that's the point where it doesn't, I'm getting some resistance. But if you muscle through, just give it a good squeeze. And if you muscle through, we're starting to get through some of that more rib cagey part. By the way, now's a good time to hit that comment section. If you have any comments or questions down there below, you can also hit the subscribe button and the like button too. I do appreciate those. Okay, so I'd say we've gotten to the point where I can't really go too much further this way. So here's where I'm going to flip the bird, pun intended, right, and come in through this side. So now here's a little trick. What you can do is I'm going to use the 8-inch breaking knife, or you could use the chef knife, just whichever knife you have, or you could even use the boning knife. What I want to try to do here is cut some of this skin to try to save some of this and also see what I'm doing. So it's like come in, probably the breaking knife's probably a better choice. See how that just cuts right through? Like butter. So I'm going to do the same thing. This knife is probably one of the best things I think I have ever bought, the 8-inch breaking knife. And keep your fingers away. All you're trying to do here is just trying to cut down through the meat. And you're trying to find where the bone is, right? So there's a bone there. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find where the bone is, and you're basically, if this was the bone and this is the knife, let's use something else. But let's say this is the bone and this is your knife. Basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to follow the bone. It's okay if you come off the bone like a quarter of an inch or whatever, but you're trying to find the bone and just follow it down to where it meets the next bone. The adjoining rib cage is what you're looking for. So this would be the back. This is the back of the ribs. You're trying to find where they meet, and then that's where you're going to come in with your poultry scissors again and do the rest of the work. So I've gotten about as far as I think I can go on this side. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just very, very, very gingerly find where that bone wants to meet bone on bone contact. Seeing as I'm coming down again, There we go. It's about right there. There you go. And the boning knife has done most of the work. See how far in I am now? As opposed to having to guess with the scissors where the bones are. So here we go. I'm going to come in again with that boning knife. Oh, and you can hear that crunching. Okay, so now I've gone as far as I can go. I want to use my poultry scissors again. Right? My hands are all greasy and messy and watery. These things still have a good grip to them. I heard that was a complaint from some people. I just don't see how. But see how this is just cutting right through? And I want to get most of the way through, but leave a little bit as a structure to hold so that you can do this side, right? So it's like, it's okay if you go back and forth between the two sides. So now I'm completely through on this side, right? And now I want to do the same thing over here. Be mindful of your fingers, try not to cut them. But as I go, I hit a spot where it's just sticking. And eventually, see if you come around, right? So like I was trying to go through here and it was too tough. So basically I just came around like about a half an inch over and boom, it went right through. So let the scissors let the scissors talk to you and tell you what they want to do, right? So now I'm here. I'm basically just going to use some muscle here. It just got stuck on this one part for some reason. That's where it had a bionic appendage attachment. But there we go. Okay, so now we're out. So this I want to save for later because I'm going to use this in a turkey stock of some sort to try to make some kind of, bone broth. Anyways, you get the idea. Gravy. This is all good gravy material right here. I might pull the fat back off, but it's good gravy. Okay, so now basically we're here. We're at this point, and there's a lot of ice in here, as you can see, which I do want to try to get rid of as much as possible. So I may go back over to the sink and rinse this real quick, but not yet. Not yet. And the reason why is, leave this in here for now. Not yet, because I don't want to rinse this just yet, because otherwise I'm going to have a big watery countertop, which I don't want. So what I want to try to do is I want to try to find this breastbone, which should be right in the middle. See, all this I can take out. Right, this is just frozen ice and obviously some turkey juices. Okay, so now we're basically at this. I want to hang on to for now. Eventually what I'll probably do is, see, like there's a little dark spot, I'll probably cut this out. But eventually what I want to do is I want to split open the turkey, right? So this is the back, the underside is the breast. What I want to do is I want to split this open and see how much more of this skin I can use, because everybody loves turkey skin, like crispy turkey skin. And that's another one of the reasons why we're doing this whole salting process is to basically minimize the moisture that's in the skin to help crisp up the skin during the baking process. So what I want to try to do here is, let me go ahead and cut right down the middle. So I'm going to cut. And each turkey you find is a whole different experience. Sometimes you'll go an inch this way, an inch this way, but in essence, you get the idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. Okay, so now that I'm here, I'm feeling that this is the center bone. And what I want to try to do is, this is also your part of your breastbone here, keel bone, some people call it. Let me get rid of this ice. But anyways, what we are trying to do here is we're trying to basically sever this so that the two halves split apart. Some people will come in here and just try to break it as is, but it takes a lot of muscle to do that, depending on how big your turkey is. This way, I'm helping the turkey to find its way. It's gonna tell me where it wants to split and break. So here's a good chance where you can use your boning knife again, right? Come down one side, come down the other side, and it'll tell you where it wants to go, right? So right about there. Okay, now I can come in with the scissors again, find a spot and just cut and cut. Oh, there we go. So there's where the bone is. Okay, so now that I've cut through these two adjoining, I guess, not really sure the technical terminology here, but these bones that connect to the center bone, I believe it's also maybe part of the ridge, maybe the collarbone. Now I can just pull, get a little separation, right? Now we're going to use our scissors again and just try to cut through. So remember, you got a breast, See if I can stabilize here for a second. So you have a breast here and a breast here. I don't want to cut through the breast. I'm trying to separate between the two and just cut there and cut there. That's basically what I'm trying to cut. So let's do this. And this does take, maybe it's a two-hander, but eventually you'll find it and it will cut. Let's see if it goes. There it goes. So this side is the side that snapped. That's the side that I'm gonna go ahead and break it. Oh, and you can hear all that crunching, that breaking. What we can also do too is we can flip this back over and find, here we go. So we can cut some of this. This is where your breaking knife comes in handy. Basically what you want to do is you just want to like get in there and just cut a little bit as you go. Cut, cut, cut. Right, so if you notice I'm just cutting right along that bone and this other bone. You're basically just trying to free it up a little bit so it breaks easier. Just like CPR, right? Hand over hand, just give it a good pump. Boom, and there it goes. And it just broke. Okay, so we are at a point now where I can do some more cleanup work. Right, here's where I can come in with my paper towel. I can kind of towel this off. So I don't necessarily need to wash it. I was going to take it to the sink to get a lot of this excess moisture out, but I don't really need to. What I want to do is just grab a lot of paper towels and just start patting. Just start patting dry. Because what's going to happen is now I'm going to salt. I'm going to flip it over, salt the other side, and then we're going to do some tucking on the Volrath sheet pan tray and all that good stuff. And then eventually stick it in the fridge. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to dry off as much external moisture as I can. And then the goal here is I'm just going to salt liberally on both sides. I would say the total amount of salt that I'm going to use here is 1 cup total. So 1 cup of total salt is going to go all over the bird in the inside, on the other side. If I can go between the skin and the meat, I'll try to do that too. But it's 1 cup total in a 50-50 split of 50% kosher salt, 50% what you would call like regular table salt. I like to use the Himalayan pink salt, but you get the idea. So anyways, let's just keep patting dry. Trying to also dry out the board, right? I need a bigger board. Okay, anyways. So let's get this. So now what I can do is just use your paper towels. That's what they're there for. Also a little bit more sanitary because you're using them and you're throwing them away. So I'm going to lift up one side, right? This is going to help to dry the board, but also help to dry that one side. Then do the same thing over here. What was that sketch on Saturday Night Live with Phil Hartman, the anal retentive chef? Anyways, you get the idea. Okay, we're going to lift and pull. There we go. We're going to do this. Okay, so now that I've got most of this open, most of this dry, I'll go for one more dry. Right, so patting dry, patting dry, patting dry. I'm trying to get as much dryness as I can. Okay, now let's flip the bird again, pun intended. We're gonna turn and flip. Okay, so now we're here. So now what I want to do is I just want to kind of like organize it so that it's kind of like there. Like there you go. I got an almost complete thigh separation, which is totally fine. There's another one. So see how more flatter it is? And that's basically the point of what we're trying to do here is we're trying to stabilize the whole bird so that everything cooks evenly, that the thighs are done at the same time the breast is done. And we'll obviously do that in another video because that's going to be in a couple days from now. What you can do with the wings is you can tuck these back, right, under and back. You can go under the thigh. You can do that kind of thing. Or you can also break and twist and kind of do it this way, if that made any sense, right? So you're just basically, you're trying to open up this area here as much as you can so that this cooks evenly as much as this is going to cook. And the wings are obviously a thinner material over here, thinner piece of meat. So these should cook the fastest. That's why you want to tuck them underneath. Right, let's get that in there. So something like that. That's basically what you're trying to do. Now, what we can do is we can start the salting process. So as we have all this in here, I do feel that bone in there. You could break this even further if you wanted to. Get in there, like here. Like, see how there's a huge, that's a collarbone. So right there's the collarbone. I can feel it. Feel that joint right there? This is where you want to come in with your boning knife and just give it a good little snip. There you go. So I'm through, right? This was the end of one bone, as you can see, and here's the connection point. You can do the same thing on this side. Just feel around with your fingers, right? So right there is where I'm feeling the connection. So I'm going to come in with my boning knife, right? And I feel like I'm through almost. Another little piece coming through this way. And the knife, let the knife kind of do what it does, and eventually you'll find the joint. So the joint's right in there. There you go, and I'm through. Okay. So if you wanted to flatten it out anymore. So once you get to about this point, I'd say you're good to go. I'm going to keep all this extra skin on here because I like crispy skin. Actually, I may trim some of this off because that's looking kind of funky. Here's my boning knife. This will go in the trash. This will go in the trash. Don't want to take off too much. Okay, so we've got a good nice layer of skin. This is going to stick out a little, which is totally fine. Here's where you start your salting. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Wait. Use some soap. Very important to get the soap going. Washing hands in a video with my new shaky cam. Okay, so I've got this down. Okay, again, paper towels. Go back to the paper towels over here. Try to just get a good bundle of them. It's okay. Be liberal. Just be prepared to use an entire roll of paper towels as your paper towel. Okay, so trying to get nice and dry hands so that the salt kind of comes through easier. All right, anyways, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, wherever that is down there. You get the idea. Okay, so let's get the salt. So here's my salt, right? And I can go left to right or right to left, whatever's easier, whatever's going to keep me the most sanitary. So now that my hands are dry, I know more or less I'm going to use about a cup, about a tablespoon at a time. And all I want to do is just basically just coat liberally the entire outside of this turkey. So that was 1 tablespoon. Here's going to be another one. Oh, good question. Why do I use a combination of beeping and buzzing and noises? Maybe let's wait for this beeping to end. Okay, seriously? FedEx truck decided to go the wrong way. Okay, so let's get this. Okay, you can stop beeping anytime now. Beeping away. You know, beeping means you're beeping that like button. I hope so. Anyways, okay. So I've got a dry hand, which was my salt, and I've got a wet hand, right? The wet hand is going to do the flipping. The dry hand is going to do the salting. Why did I use a combination of kosher salt and table salt? If you just went straight table salt, like just Himalayan pink salt, you might get this too salty effect, right? So what we want is we just want a kosher salt to come in there to kind of dry everything out, but the table salt, and both the kosher and the table salts are going to do some tenderizing. They're going to pull the moisture out. They're going to help to tenderize. Anyways, you get the idea. Okay, so we've done our salting on this side. Now what I want to do is flip it over. What I can do is I can flip it over straight onto the drying rack so that I don't have to get the salted side wet again, right, on those paper towels or on the cutting board or whatever. So I'm going to put all my tools and toys away in the sink for washing later. Get this cutting board out of the way because you've got little specks of schmutz there. Okay, get this guy out of the way. So many cutting boards, so little time. I kind of like, this one's from Oneida. I will put a link down below in the description. I kind of like this one, the plasticky ones or the resin ones, because I find that these are better for poultry, wetter types, things like fish, poultry, steak, whatever. I use the wooden ones like this guy. I like the wooden ones for like vegetables, garlic, cutting up fruit, you know, that kind of stuff. Because the wood material, the porous material, may absorb too much of the poultry juices and cause this to become a bacterial like waste site. So I like the plastic because the plastic doesn't absorb as much of the juices or whatever and keeps things a little more sanitary. That's just a quick little note that I made. Anyways, so now I've got my tray here. What's up, tray? Okay. This is a Volrath. This is a Volrath cooling baking rack. These things are indestructible, right? Stainless steel. If you can't afford this, because they are kind of pricey, I will put a link down below in the description, but if you can't afford this, you can go with the second choice that I made, which was, oh God, I can't remember the name right now, but there'll be a link down below in the description for like budget cooling rack, and that's the one that you can use if you want to use that one. And then in terms of the half tray, right? This is a half tray size. In terms of the half tray, same. I like Volrath. They're the industry standard when it comes to like restaurants. You can see right here, while I have a chance to show this to you. There's your Volrath, there's your model number, all that good stuff. I did put a link down there below in the description. I don't know how well this is coming up on camera, but anyways, Volrath. I will put a link down below in the description. This is the the open-ended one, and the reason for that is it's NSF certified, which is National Sanitary Foundation certified. So you can actually get in there and clean this when you're done, the edges or whatever. It's a little thicker aluminum. Like this is aluminum. The cooling rack is stainless steel. But this is the industry standard. This is what's going to hold up in your oven. The same thing that we're doing right here, like this whole tray and everything, eventually this is just going to go straight in the oven. There's no reason to like do anything else. But if you can't afford the cooling baking rack and the tray, I did put a Nordic Ware half sheet in the description, which I feel is good. It'll hold up. And I also put the accompanying budget cooling rack down there below in the description as well, so you can check that out. Anyways, now that I've got this pretty much salted on this side, I'm going to flip this over so it's going to be breast side down. Now we're going to salt the inside. So let's go ahead and do that. So dry hand, wet hand, makes no difference. I'll probably wash my hands again. Anyways. It's just like wrestling a 15-pound turkey. Okay, so here we go. This is going to go on. This is going to go down. This is going to go in. Here we go. Got all this going. So now I've got this side. So now here's a chance where I wash my hands because I don't want to contaminate the source, right? So give it a good wash. There we go. Get some soap. It's a repetitive process, but it's worth it. Just to make sure that you're sanitary as you go, because obviously the last thing you want is bacteria to build up or whatever. Okay, so now paper towels. Paper towel, paper towel, paper towel. Don't want to touch those because those are highly contaminated. Okay, so here we go. So I'm drying my hands again. Whichever hand you decide to keep your dry hand, just keep it as the dry hand that goes into the salt. Or what you could do is you could pour this out in a measuring cup, 1 cup, and then put that into like a bowl or something. Like you could put it into a bowl. That way you're only contaminating, you know, you're touching whatever, you're only contaminating that area. But because I do this a lot and I know what I'm doing, I try to keep it sanitary. Okay, so here we go. So this goes in the trash. Let me move this a little closer. Okay, so salt. This is my dry hand. This is my wet hand. So salt. Again, I got about a tablespoonful. I'm just liberally salting as I come on through here. Right, my bird. I'm going to do another tablespoon. Give or take about a tablespoon. And again, just kind of liberally. No real rhyme or reason to this, just kind of liberally salting as I go. Okay, let me towel off real quick. This is just for me and my own purposes. Okay, so we're pretty much done. We've gone as far as we can go for today. The goal of all this, just to quickly explain it, is I'm going to put this in the fridge as it is for 1 day. Right? 1 day. After that 1 day, I'm going to flip it over to make sure I've got even drying on both sides. and even distribution of the air cycle and the airflow and everything else. My cooking side is going to be breast side up, right? So this all kind of factors in. So 1 day in the fridge like this at 38 degrees is what my fridge is set to. A lot of moisture is going to come out, right? It's also going to evaporate. Then on the second day, which is 24 hours from now, so tomorrow, I'm going to flip this over so it's breast side up, and I'm going to let it go another 24 hours, right? So 2 days total in the fridge with the salt, just to pull out whatever extra ice and water and whatever packaging during the packaging process, whatever waters or for fluids they added to the turkey is basically what I'm trying to get out of there. And what this is going to do is this is going to concentrate the flavors. It's going to crisp up the skin so that the skin gets nice and crispy when you cook it, and basically help to kind of tenderize the meat. I'll be back in two days, right? So not tomorrow, but the day after. I may come back tomorrow just to show you how I flipped the bird. Again, pun intended. Hey, if you can count how many times I said flip the bird in the video, hit that comment section. You'll get a special thumbs up or a like from me. Anyways, 1 day from now, 24 hours from now, I'm going to flip the bird so it's breast side up. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to go through the next phase of the process. Next phase of the process is going to be the actual cooking process itself. And what that's going to involve is a lot of butter, softened butter. We're going to put our seasoning into the butter, mix that all up, basically butter it up and shove it in the oven. And we're going to cook a turkey. So 48 hours from now, we're going to start cooking this turkey. It should be an hour-long process. You'll see that. Anyways, if you like what you're seeing, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button down there below. I am the Old Coot, and I've been promising this video for a while, so we're finally doing it. But we are going to cook this 15-pound turkey in about an hour in the oven as a pre-Thanksgiving, pre-holiday test run so that everybody can see how it's done, how easy it is. If you're in a time crunch, if you just want to like show up at your relative's house or your friend's house or whatever the case may be and say, hey, I can cook a turkey in an hour. This is basically why I created this video. I hope this helps some of you out there. And like I said, let's just quickly recap. So if you fast forward through the whole video and you get to this point, mark this point as the recap point. So I opened up the bag, right? Frozen turkey. 1 day to defrost for every 3 pounds. So 15-pound turkey, it was a 5-day defrost. And I still had some ice inside, right? Which is no big deal. What I did was I took it out, took it to the sink, right? We cut the bag open. We took the giblets out and the kidneys and the liver and whatever else was in there. We also took out that part, that weird part, the neck bone. We took that out. That's all going to become broth later. Chicken broth for the thing. Oh, you could salt this, by the way, like the neck bone. You could salt that and stick it into alongside with the turkey if you wanted to. I may do that later. I may not do that later. I'm probably going to toss it because I like making my own gravy in a different kind of way. The backbone, same thing. You can take the backbone and put it, anyways. We spatchcock the turkey, right? We cut down the backbone. We pulled the backbone out. We cut the upper part of the breastbone, right? So I think it's the collarbone. We basically separated both sides of the collarbone so that it would more easily open up to be more of like an even cooking surface. As you can see here, like this is pretty damn even, right? With the exception, like the thighs need to reach a higher temperature anyway. So this way everything cooks nice and even. Then what we did was we patted everything dry with paper towels. And then we came in with a 50-50 blend of kosher and Himalayan pink salt. Right, 50-50 blend. I'd say I used about 4 tablespoons worth. I'd have a cup on hand just as extra, so in case you do need extra or whatever. But a tablespoon at a time, just liberally salted the breast side first. Then I flipped it over, did the inside. Right now, this is going to go in the fridge for 24 hours. It's going to do its thing. It's going to help. The salt is going to help to tenderize the meat. It's going to help to dry out that excess moisture, that excess whatever water's left over from the freezing process or whatever. And then I'm going to flip this over so now it's breast side up, right? that's gonna go another 24 hours in the fridge. So 48 total hours in the fridge with the salt on the cooling baking rack. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna get some softened butter. We're gonna put our seasonings into the softened butter. We're gonna butter the hell out of everything, inside, under the skin, wherever we can jam that butter in. We're gonna put that all in. The butter's gonna help to moisturize and keep the turkey juicy and moist during the cooking process, which is going to be for about an hour at around 400 degrees or so. Anyways, that's a recap of this video. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button down there below. Go ahead and check out the description section for all the tools and toys that I used today, or at least most of them. And definitely hit that comment section if you have any comments. Anyways, Old Coot here. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and we'll be back in about 24 hours.